You are reading a sacred text, and suddenly the numbers don't add up. The timeline shifts, the details clash. For many readers, hitting a direct contradiction in the Bible triggers an immediate spike of anxiety or an instinct to defend the document. Look closely at this side-by-side comparison of two accounts of King David's census. In 2 Samuel 24, God offers a punishment of 7 years of famine, and David's warrior count sits at 800,000 in Israel and 500,000 in Judah. But in 1 Chronicles 21, describing the exact same event, the punishment is only 3 years of famine, and the warrior counts jump to 1.1 million and 470,000 respectively. When faced with competing numbers for the same historical event, people usually retreat into one of two camps. Either they throw out the text completely as unreliable, or they engage in exhausting mental gymnastics to force the math to work. But there is a third option. These mismatched numbers are actually artifacts. They are the physical fingerprints of the multi-generational human scribes who copied, carried, and preserved these documents over thousands of years. Before the printing press, every copy of a text was produced by a human hand. Imagine an ancient scribe working by candlelight, copying thousands of characters onto rough parchment. Fatigue sets in. Eyes blur, hands cramp. To save precious space on the expensive parchment, these scribes used a format called scriptio continua, a continuous stream of letters written without any spaces or punctuation between the words. This practice creates severe ambiguity. Take this string of English letters. Depending on where a tired scribe decides to place the mental break, it translates to God is now here, or completely oppositely, God is nowhere. Ancient Hebrew didn't use separate numbers. Each letter held a numerical value. Look at Dalet and Resh. The only difference is Dalet's tiny top right overhang. If a scribe's pen slips, a Dalet becomes a Resh, shifting census totals by thousands. Add to this a common mistake called eye skip. A scribe finishes writing a common word, looks back to the original scroll, and accidentally lands their eyes on the exact same word 3 lines down, unintentionally deleting an entire paragraph from the historical record. Many of the glaring numerical differences in these ancient texts come down to human biology. Blurry, failing vision, cramped, tired fingers, and simple copyist errors ground these texts in physical reality. Yet accidental typos only explain part of the story. Scribes also made deliberate, sweeping changes to the narrative. In the post-exilic period, the Jewish community, known as Yehud, was surviving severe trauma. They had been displaced, their temple had been destroyed, and they were trying to rebuild their identity while living under the vast polytheistic shadow of the Persian Empire. The author we call the chronicler compiled his history of Israel centuries after the first scrolls were written. He adjusted the existing narratives found in Samuel and Kings to speak directly to a population mourning their lost autonomy. To challenge the perceived grandeur of Persian power, he recorded temple gold and silver in totals far exceeding the original accounts. He also omitted King David's moral failures, presenting a hero capable of providing dignity to a defeated people. These alterations acted as a survival strategy. By reshaping the historical narrative, the chronicler offered the Yehud community a version of their past prioritizing national identity and hope over the starker accounts in older scrolls. Today, scholars navigate these layers of accidents and theological edits using a process called textual criticism. Discoveries like the Dead Sea Scrolls give researchers access to incredibly ancient manuscripts. Laying these fragmented texts side by side with later versions makes human errors and deliberate edits visible. Comparing where these diverging copies differ provides the data needed to reconstruct the earliest layers of writing. A perfectly uniform text, free of any variations, would lack evidence of the people who maintained it. It would exist completely outside of time. The ink smudges, mismatched census numbers, and theological revisions are the physical markers of the text's preservation. They show that these documents were handled, debated, and protected by real people facing real threats. In these fingerprints, we see a document that lived alongside the people who guarded